Hey guys, in this video we'll be continuing with the Python video tutorials. We'll be going over the discussion of strings, so we'll be continuing on the discussion of strings. So basically we'll just be talking about how strings are immutable. So in Python, strings are immutable, which means once they are created they cannot be changed. So that's basically like a tuple. We'll be talking about tuples later. So basically you can't change, technically they're immutable, but there is ways around it that seems like strings are immutable. So we'll just talk about that. So some operations such as string concatenation give the impression that they modify strings, but it's not actually, the string actually isn't being modified. You're just more so joining two of them together. So we can just show an example of that. We've done string concatenation before. We can just, I'll just use it in an example here. So we have def main, and we can just have a name points to, or we can have str1 points to like blue. So then we can print out this. We can print out str1 is comma. We can pass in str1. And now we can take str1, we can call str1, point it to itself, so str1, plus the string berries. So then now we can print, now you can say str1 now is, we can pass in str1, and after all that we can just call the main. So what's happening here is we're just having str1 points to blue, we're printing it out, then we're saying, okay, well str1 points to itself plus berry, so we're concatenating, and we're printing out the new string, which will print out blueberries. So we did this recently. So basically, the whole point of this is that the string blue is assigned to, the string berries is the string blue is assigned to the str1 variable as shown. Then we concatenate the string berries to the string blue, and we assign the result to str1. So as you can see, the original string is not modified, so if we call str1 again, it'll print out blue. Actually no, sorry. Actually, it won't do that. It's gonna print out blueberries. But the point is, what I'm talking about is that the first part of the string actually isn't modified. So over here, it actually isn't modified. str1, actually the whole, like, it's kind of like behind the scenes. So if you call str1, it looks like it is. Let me just try to explain that here. Hopefully I'm not confusing anyone. So if you have, so the original string str1 is not modified. Instead, a new string containing blueberries is created and assigned to the str1 variable. The original string str1 is no longer usable. the original string blue is no longer usable because no variables reference it. The Python interpreter will eventually remove the unusable string from memory, kind of basically like garbage collection. So it's kind of tricky to visualize it, but basically you just have to know that it's not like this isn't the same string. str1 is not blue anymore. It's a new string. It's being concatenated. It's not actually, you're not actually changing the string itself. It's kind of a confusing topic, but you just have to remember that strings are basically immutable. So just a little bit more on that. Because strings are immutable, you cannot use an expression in the form. So string of index on the left side. So basically what that means is you can't go like str1 of uh, 5 points to just like a random letter like Q. So that's basically why it's immutable, because you can't just take an index and assign something to it. So you can't change an index in the string itself. So that's what makes it immutable. So basically what's happening here is that you cannot use an expression in the form string of index 5 points to Q. So basically you can't use an expression in the form of that. So you can't use an expression in the form of string of index on the left side of an assignment operator. That's what's happening here. So that will cause an error, an exception, as shown. So there's no, you can't really do this. You can't change the string through the middle. Basically, you can't change. You can only point it to. You can't change the string itself. You can only concatenate it, or you can point str1 to a new string. So obviously we can say str1 now points to like a new string. Then we can print out str1. Sorry, so I have to remove that one because it's causing an exception. So as you can see, it prints out a new string. So you can change the whole string itself, but you can't modify it. So I can't be like for. I don't think we can do this, but I'll just try to show an example. What's happening here? Oh, is there some kind of, okay, there's a apostrophe or something there. So if I go like for char in str1, so maybe I can go count points to 0. Just move this up here. For char in str1, I can say char points to Q. Is there a break? So we haven't talked about the break statement yet, so we'll do that soon. We'll do that in a bit. So we have for char in str1, char points to Q. We'll say so let's just go, actually we don't need the count, let's just go with this. For char in str1, char points to Q. Then we'll go print we'll go print str1, save it, run it. Actually, we'll say trying to change to Q, trying to change indexes to Q. We'll have to add a comma here, str1, so we'll just see what happens there. So we're trying to change indexes to Q. So as you can see, the string was actually immutable, which means we weren't able to modify it because it's immutable basically. So our new string, which str1 was set to new string, but when we tried to change each character index in str1 to Q, it didn't allow that. So it basically we didn't get an exception, but it just didn't change the string. So you can change the string. You can append something to the. You can't really like append. Well, you can add to a string. Actually, I don't think you can append to it. So, so if we go str1.append Q, print str1. Yeah, so it's telling us that you can append anything to a string. So you can't just add a letter to a string. You can't add any character. You can't add a number to it. You can't just add something to a string. You can change the whole string itself to point to a new string, but you can't change the string. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a little bit confusing. In a way, it looks like it's immutable, but what's really happening is we're just changing the variable. So if we have str1 points to blue, then we're concatenating it. We're really just concatenating two strings here. We're not changing the string. And then when we call the old string str1 points to a new string, we're not actually changing the string. We're just pointing it to a new string. So basically, that this blueberries string wasn't able to be changed. In that case, we just pointed the variable itself. So the variable is changing, not the string, if that makes sense. The variable is changing to point to a new string. For example, when str1 points to blueberries, and then we say, okay, well, str1 now points to a new string. The variable itself is changing to point to something else. The string isn't changing. So the string isn't being changed, it's pointing to a new string, if that makes sense. I know it's a little confusing. So hopefully that makes sense. In the next video we'll be going over, so if you guys like the video, you can like the video and subscribe to the channel if you'd like for more programming and investing videos. In the next video we'll be going over string slicing. So I think we did this with lists. It's pretty much the exact same thing. So we'll show how to slice strings, which because there's no substring method in Python, and in C you can't just like there's no method to access and change the string. You have to use slicing. So hopefully I'll see you guys there, and thanks for watching.